Welcome back. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Monday, July 20th. It is 8 a.m. on the button on the East Coast. A former Democrat Socialists of America member is warning the organization has become increasingly influenced by communist factions and is growing more accepting of Marxism. They also say some DSA members do not even consider lawmakers like Bernie Sanders or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as real socialists. DSA claims they've endorsed candidates who've advanced in more than 30 primary contests this year, spanning local, state, and federal levels. A rising wave of left-leaning politics is spreading globally as Andy Burnham, a champion of socialism, is replacing Keir Starmer as the Prime Minister of Britain this morning. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is the former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. Andrew, welcome back. Great to see you this morning.
Good to see you this morning. Pleasure. Thank you for having me, Maria. And congratulations to Spain. What a victory they had yesterday.
Yeah, the World Cup was exciting. Look, I want to get your take on all of this about this Democrat socialist, because you had to actually go up against Mamdani in New York for the mayor's race, and actually he was elected, incredibly. So I want to talk about that. But first, you've got some big news this morning. Let's talk about that. You announced you will co-chair a joint venture between ICE, the owner of the New York Stock Exchange, and a crypto exchange, OKX. Tell us your role at OKX.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited about this, Maria. I'm joining the board of OKX. OKX, I believe, is one of the leading fintech companies globally. They're doing extraordinary work, and they are pioneering the infrastructure for the financial system of the future. So I'm excited about OKX, and the joint venture between OKX and ICE does a lot of work when you think about it. We've talked about this competition between traditional finance and the new fintech companies, crypto companies. ICE is the quintessential traditional finance company, right? That's Jeff Sprecher. That's Traboo Bland, Senior Vice President. They own the New York Stock Exchange, the largest single stock exchange on the globe, he says, as a biased New Yorker. But so crypto, OKX, fintech coming together with ICE, New York Stock Exchange, that is a marriage that should have happened a long time ago. Because when people talk about crypto, they tend to talk about tokens, et cetera. That's not how I see crypto. I see it as the financial infrastructure of the future. They are building the rails of the future for the financial markets. That's why in New York, when crypto first started, 2014, we were the first state when I was governor to regulate crypto, because I saw the technology and I saw the potential for the technology. And Maria, you don't put technology back in the box, right? You can't stop time and you can't stop technology. It will be the future. OKX is going to be the head of it. It's going to be good for the economy, and it's going to be safer for our financial system. You were just talking about AI and challenges. The technology and continuing to develop the best technology on the globe will keep us safe.
Well, look, you're talking about tokenization, and I know that, you know, you're looking at this new era of trading and investing where people can actually get a slice of a stock, tokenization. Tell me why you feel tokenization is the future and what you're going to be doing with the New York Stock Exchange in terms of tokenization. What's the biggest misconception that we should understand about tokenization?
Well, I think the biggest misconception was that crypto was seen as tokens, memes. It sort of got a bad name. There were certain bad actors in the crypto space, which is true. There wasn't enough regulation. And when there's no regulation, people will create fouls. People will play outside the lines. And that happened. But the real contributions of crypto is not that. It's the financial infrastructure, the technology that they developed. It is faster. It is cheaper. Just imagine a world, Maria, where you can trade stocks 24/7 internationally, right? And literally trillions of dollars internationally could be invested into the U.S. economy, into our exchanges. Now, tokenization says you can have fractional ownership. You can have a digital representation of that asset. So you can buy a tenth of one stock. You can buy half of one stock. And the transactions digitally are immediate. And again, the technology advancements are the way to keep our financial system safe, and it will also be growth for the U.S. economy.
So, Andrew, I mean, you've spent decades regulating businesses. Now you're moving to the private sector side. Does this mean you're done with politics?
It means I am doing what I did when I was in government. I was a regulator. I was the New York Attorney General, as you know. I regulated securities. I was the Housing and Urban Development Secretary before that, regulated the housing market, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. As governor, regulated the crypto market, insurance banks. So I think I bring that expertise. We want to do this, but we want to do this safely, and we want to do it right. We want the rules in place. The U.S. should pass the Clarity Act. The rest of the world is already ahead of us. Europe, for example, has ESMA, has MiCA 2. There's a big race now on who's going to be the big exchange in Europe. And I believe OKX is going to win that because they have the best technology and they're the most trusted. So it's the same thing I did, just from a different position on the table, Maria.
Well, I mean, Andrew, look, you've got people who are trying to slow down the AI race, the digital assets race. I mean, look what just happened with Kathy Hochul. Okay, she just put a one-year moratorium in. She doesn't want any data centers built in New York. What is your reaction?
Well, look, the Democratic Party is in the middle of a civil war, right? And you have moderate mainstream Democrats, such as myself, which have been challenged by the far left extremists. Now, the Democratic Party always had a far left, like the Republican Party always had a far right. But this far left on the Democratic Party basically has been energized by the opposition to President Trump. You have a lot of young people who are now engaged in the political process. You have guys like Bernie Sanders saying that the future of the Democratic Party should be a socialist party, which is sort of ironic, since Bernie Sanders is an independent in the first place. He's not even a Democrat, and he's telling us what the Democratic future should be. But socialism has not worked anywhere on the globe, Maria. Promises of free lunch, free buses, free rent, free everything. There is no such thing as free. Someone always pays. This is a dream. This is nirvana. This is utopia. And they're selling to young people who are buying it. But it's not going to work. And the socialist movement is the best thing the Republicans have going for them.
Wow. Well, the Democrat Socialists of America came out with their agenda. They want to do away with the Senate, do away with the president, just have different groups which are approved by Congress. Then you've got Mayor Zoran Mamdani facing pushback after he said that he would seek to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if and when he travels to New York for the UN General Assembly this fall. Netanyahu called Mamdani's remarks outrageous, saying on X he will, quote, continue to come to New York with his head held high. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Michael Waltz, weighed in, calling Mamdani's threats pure political theater, saying that the U.S. is not a party to the Rome Statute, which created the International Criminal Court. And the UN Headquarters Agreement provides diplomatic protections for visiting heads of government, heads of state. Immunity applies as well. So, Andrew, this is a group that's not only anti-immigration enforcement, anti-ICE, but they are also anti-Israel. I spoke with Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman about it yesterday. Here's what he said. Watch. What are your thoughts here on Mamdani threatening to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to the U.S.?
It's such a tough guy to say that kind of thing. He has no way to do that. Of course, obviously, America's not even part of that corrupt court. And so he's just a clown to even say that. So he won't try that. And I'll just sit down and focus on the problems that they have in New York. That's really not your purview. You and I know that. Sit down.
Yeah. So Andrew Fetterman says, sit down. That's a Democrat. What do you make of the rise of candidates that they're actually getting elected, like Zoran Mamdani, with socialist ideas and hatred for Israel?
Oh, look, it is a major problem for the Democrats. And again, I think the energy comes from the anger at Trump, and they've misdirected that anger. But it is a real problem for the Democrats. And as I said before, it's the best thing the Republicans have going for them, because you are not going to elect a socialist in this country. You can do it in these Democratic pockets. You can do it in New York City. You can do it in parts of Michigan. You can do it in Los Angeles. But the nation is not going to elect a socialist. And it is all garbage, Maria. The Mamdani, who is against the police, he's against ICE. He doesn't think there should be prisons. He doesn't think there should be any limitations on immigrants. But they are anti-Israel. And that is a bonding element among these socialists. I believe they take anti-Israel and it blends into anti-Semitism. We have the highest rate of hate attacks against Jewish individuals that we have had in years, even in a place like New York. But he has no basis whatsoever to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel. This is just theater. They're all theater. He's a performance. He's an actor. Well, smile to the camera.
I mean, you say this is going to be bad for Democrats, but I think it's going to be bad for New York, okay? I think it's more than just Democrats. I mean, I think it's going to be bad for Colorado. It's going to be bad for New York. I mean, socialism is going to take this city down. We're already seeing the wealth pack up and go because of all of these new tax, like the pied-à-terre tax. The luxury real estate market slowing because of Zoran Mamdani's pied-à-terre tax going into effect, a surcharge on any second home worth more than $1 million. So that's certainly one issue for the economy of New York. And by the way, I mean, I don't know. You sparred with Democrats overall. Tell us what happened. I mean, they walked away from you, and you had some pursuits of running for president, right? You wanted to run for president, and then Hillary Clinton stopped you. She wanted to run. She lost to Donald Trump. And then you were going to run for president again. Joe Biden stopped you. So the Democrats blew you off.
Yeah. Look, politics is an ugly business, obviously. But it winds up, I'm too moderate for the Democrats, okay? Which is ironic, since I had the most progressive record as governor in the United States of America. First state to pass marriage equality, allowing LGBTQ members to get married. We did that. Highest minimum wage in the United States. New York did that. The toughest anti-discrimination laws. New York did that. First paid family leave. New York did that. So we had the most progressive record. It's not about facts. It's not about merits. It's about the politics of the moment. And right now, socialism is cool. You're right, Maria, that it is very bad for New York. When you are anti-police, what's the job of mayor of New York? You're not in charge of international affairs. You're not in charge of the Middle East. Yeah. You are in charge of police. Pick up the garbage, fill the pothole, do your job, bring people to New York, create jobs. Don't demonize corporations. Don't demonize the rich. Don't chase people out of New York, which is exactly what he's doing. And you're seeing the wealth transfer to southern states.
Yeah. So do you think you could have beaten Hillary Clinton in 2016 and beaten Joe Biden in 2024 if the Democrat machine got behind you? Do you think you could have beaten Trump? Could you have beaten President Trump?
Who knows? Who knows, Maria? I think I would have been a formidable candidate, but who knows? And
Well,
don't try
we
to
will-
get me into trouble by asking me those questions.
Oh, boy. Congratulations on the new role, Andrew. We're going to be watching OKX, and this is the second largest crypto company in the country, and we will be watching your work there on tokenization. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I know OKX is going to win. That I can tell you.
Good to see you. Andrew Cuomo
Good to see
joining
you, Maria.
us. We'll see you soon. We're watching Mornings with Maria live on Fox Business. Stay with us.